question is, how important is the XIIHoLS being held in Vila for the first time? What is the importance for you?
Well, I think the first thing is to say it's lovely to be here. So that's an agreeable situation, makes for a very good congress, and we've certainly got that. I think it's great that it's in a Portuguese-speaking country. Within Europe, that's actually ideal because it's brought together a lot of colleagues from South America as well as colleagues from Europe. It's kind of a meeting point of two worlds with different interests, and they've come together here really well.
What's your opinion about the quality of the communications and the congress itself?
I've really enjoyed the conference so far. I've heard some great papers. I have to say that I tried going to a Portuguese one and I listened to it, but I didn't really understand, so I can't comment on that one, though I'm sure it was very good. But the papers that I've heard have covered such a broad range, and some have really made me think about the topic in a new way, which is exactly what you want from a conference like this.
History of linguistics, it's often mistaken with historical linguistics. In your opinion, what's the reason for this happening?
Okay, I think there are two reasons. The first reason is that the words sound similar, so if you're coming from the outside it's very easy to confuse them. I think the second reason is that there are areas where they overlap. So historical linguistics is looking at the history of the language, and history of linguistics is looking at the history of ideas about language, and they intersect. So when you look at a grammar of the 17th century, you're looking at a history, you're looking at how the language has changed, but you're also looking about how people's conception of the language have changed. So they do overlap a bit, but you've got to know where they differ as well.
As you know, Portuguese is not yet a scientific language, but we have 230 million of speakers, and the fact that XIIHoLS today, this year, is being held in Vila, you can think that possibly this situation will be changed in the future?
I'm not very good at predicting the future, but I think it would certainly be nice if it was more widely known. I've kind of noticed that this is the first opportunity I've had to hear a lot of Portuguese spoken, and that really helps you get your ear acclimatized, and that's going to make the language more widely known. And I think as parts of South America develop economically as well, that's going to help, and Portuguese probably will become a language in even greater demand than it is now.
With apparent disinterest and clear political disinvestment in the area of the humanities and of course historical linguistics, how do you think will be the future for this area?
Okay, I think that's the most difficult question. I think it's going to be positive because this is such an interesting field and it continues to draw lots of younger scholars. I don't know if you have had a chance to see, but there are lots of young people here who are just interested in the area. I think the history of linguistics is also quite lucky in that you don't ever have a department of the history of linguistics, so we can't be closed down. As long as there are people who are individually interested and we have journals that are publishing in the area and societies, I think the area will continue to thrive. And we don't, obviously funding is great, but I don't think the discipline depends on being very richly funded. I think there will be some projects that are funded and some that aren't.